Hey guys, today this is a quick video to show you how to install from the thick or the original Dreamline Compact Shroud over to the thin shroud. It's actually a pretty simple conversion if you have the right tools. All you're gonna need is, I'm gonna move this out of the picture now. All you need is your vise and then either a heat gun or a torch. Just for the sake of the video, we're going to use a torch. We're going to use the torch today because it heats up a lot faster, but actually I do recommend the heat gun so you don't melt O-rings as much, and it's more of a direct heat to exactly where you need it. So this shroud is attached to the shroud start right here. There's some Loctite right here. So basically we're going to have to heat up this Loctite, and then we will remove this out of the shroud. This will come this way. Then once that'll happen, we'll be able to remove this from the barrel attachment. So first thing first, we're going to take this off. So you get your torch. And apply heat evenly around. You notice I also have flame resistant, flame retardant gloves. Definitely help a lot with the heat. Yep. There we go. Turn the torch off, set it aside. And then we're able to thread that out. It's going to be very hot, but that's why I have flame-proof or flame retardant gloves on. There is a spacer on the inside of this shroud, right there. You don't need that anymore. You can just pop that off the end of your liner, just like that. Go ahead and pull that out, and we're going to switch over to taking the shroud start off of the barrel attachment. So remove our grips back. We're going to attach this. Get that in there nice and tight. Well, and actually, first of all, what we can do, we can go ahead and remove the liner assembly because there are O-rings in here. So actually, yeah, that's the first thing we're going to do is pop this nut off so we can get the liner out. So just gently rest the liner in the vise. I mean, I'm not tight at all. It's just enough so it doesn't wiggle back and forth. I mean, it's still going to rotate. Then we grab a, I believe it is a 15 millimeter, yep, 15 millimeter wrench. And then, so you can untwist it like this. That's the easy way to do it right there. Like I said, if you're in a vise. Notice this piece right here. You don't need this piece anymore. This is part of the original shroud cone. So these right here, you're going to slide those right off the end. And there you go, right there. Just set those down for now. We'll reinstall those later. So we've got our liner. We can set that to the side, because now we need to get the shroud start off the barrel attachment. So actually the easiest way to do this is going to be able to put the brass and the stainless steel in there. As you can tell, it's not coming off. That was the brass turning inside the vise. There's about 1/2 to 3/4 inch of Loctite through this section right here. So once again, I recommended the heat gun at first, but for the sake of the video, I'm using a torch. So it's going to heat evenly all the way throughout. You can tell when it's time to try to start turning on the piece because the metal will slightly turn a little bit more glossy color due to the heat. That's basically the water sweating out of the metal and out of the air. And also you can start seeing smoke. So yep, the smoke is the Loctite melting. So it is very hot. That's why I got the flame gloves on. Whew. As you can see, all that Loctite right there. Ooh. This is very, very hot. So there we go. Pop that piece off. Right there. Very hot. I don't want to touch that anymore. Alright, so the first thing will be to clean up all this Loctite that's right there. Just get yourself a brass brush. A brass brush such as that. And then we'll take off all that Loctite. In fact, there's one little piece of Loctite right here that doesn't want to come off, so I'm going to get a little dental pick. So if there's any Loctite stuck in the groove, you can get a little dental pick. Be sure not to scratch the groove, just to break the Loctite. It's all good now. It's all clean. Give it a final brush. All right. The piece is cooled off by now too, and that's very important. Before you install the next piece of the new Loctite, you gotta make sure this is cooled off, or else the Loctite's not gonna work properly. Another thing to inspect is there is an O-ring right there. It's hard to see because the shadow. Ooh. Anyways, there's an O-ring right there at the entrance. You gotta make sure that hasn't been melted or damaged in any way. In this case it hasn't. Just always check to make sure. If it has been, replace it. Alright, so the first thing will be to get the new shroud start, which is right here. Hold that back a little bit. That's the new shroud start for the skinny shroud. Has a 14 by 1 MBR 70 O-ring right here, right before the lip, right after the threads, between the threads and the lip. So make sure you got that O-ring on there. So what this is going to do, it's just going to thread on right there. We're going to have to use some Loctite though. There's no specific Loctite that's recommended. A good way to start would be with a blue, which is a medium strength. Sweden actually uses a lot of green, which green is like a low medium strength, but they use a lot of it. So the higher grade you go, the less you need to use for this application. So we've got the blue Loctite here. We've got it open. So we're just gonna line the threads, couple lines back and forth. Make sure it's all the way down the threads, but you don't have to put in an excessive amount. Alright, so we got the Loctite on there now. Now I can start threading. Even though I only applied Loctite to the very top, as you thread on, it turns the Loctite all the way around the threads, so you don't have to worry about it. When using a thread lock, it's best to give it 24 to 48 hours to fully cure. I mean, we can go ahead and attach stuff and stuff like that, and applying different things is okay, but for safety reasons, I would recommend at least 24 hours before you actually put it on the gun and start shooting. So we got that on, nice and tight now. The next step is to reinstall the liner. Remember the end here. Let me try to get in the focus. Anyways, the breech end here has a line around the rim of the breech, or around the liner. That's the end that goes into the breech. So, well, actually, first of all, before we even do that, I'm gonna take my gloves off, so we're not dealing with heat anymore. So, no gloves. We got our liner. There was all these little O-rings that came off when we took the liner off at first with the liner lock, or the liner nut, my apologies. So we gotta slide all these back on. And these are not for spacing. These are for jamming it into here. So these will all be at the beginning. There's for this particular barrel there was six O-rings. I've seen that vary a lot. These O-rings don't hold seals, so it's okay if they're a little bit damaged, if they're a little melted, or if they got some fraying to them or stuff like that. These are merely for tension. They are used to compress. So there you go, there's all 6 right there. Then we take the brass liner nut. Let me try to get more in focus here. There we go. Brass liner nut, we're going to go from the muzzle end down the liner to there. Then we're going to insert it as far as it'll go. And then you start threading that on by hand. Make sure that liner's pushed all the way inside as possible. It might feel like it stops, but keep pushing. It goes all the way up. The liner seats almost all the way to here. So you've got that whole area that you need to push in the liner. Don't forget that. And put that back in the vise so we can keep working. So be sure that the liner's pushed all the way in. It is. And then we're going to tighten this down, the 15mm. Yep, that's as tight as it'll go. So the next part is easy once again. This is just where we're going to install the shroud. So it just comes on threads right there. And again, we're going to use Loctite. I'm using just a couple drops of blue. Just a small line on top there. Don't have to use a lot at all. Yep, line that up. Oh, actually first, almost forgot. There's your shroud spacer. Has a 14 by 1.5 O-ring around it to fit inside the shroud, and this slides over the liner. So you just start at the beginning, and it's going to be a little difficult to push on. And here, let me show you. You want to get it about halfway in between the two ends, so that it's nice and well supported. So there you go, there's that. I got blue Loctite on my hand from that. Be sure not to do that, because Loctite on the hand is not fun. Alright, so that goes back in there. Just a little bit of tension, not much. Wipe that Loctite off. Alright, we still got plenty of Loctite up there. So now we're going to go ahead and attach the shroud. Sliding that over the liner support. It's going to be really tight. It's really tight. So you want to kind of twist in a clockwise motion to get past that O-ring. And then you get to the threads. And the threads will do the work for you. Just keep threading, keep threading, keep threading until it bottoms out. At that point, you might want to grab that pretty tight in the vise. Make sure you have rubber jaws. And there you go. That's as tight as it's going to go. But there you go. There's your new thin shroud compact barrel. And let all that Loctite dry up, and whenever it does, you're good to go. You've got your barrel now. If you have any questions, please call FX USA. We'll be able to answer them. Thank you.